Hello, everyone. My name is Marc Babin. Welcome to another Anyline interview coming to you from beautiful Vienna in the Anyline headquarter offices. Joining me today is Aidon Hudson. Aidon is the Chief Technical Officer at Green. They are a green energy provider in the northeast of England that supplies 100% of its electricity from clean and renewable sources within the UK. Aidon, great to have you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you very much.
How's everything going up in northeast England?
Yeah, it's going very well. You know, we're fortunate enough to in a lovely office space and making sure everyone's still fit and healthy. All working in the office as key workers. You know, it's good to be in the office.
Good. Glad to hear everyone's doing well and you guys are keeping busy, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. It's nonstop.
Good to hear. Perfect. So before we jump more into Green and more about the company and the initiatives that you guys are taking forward, I'm sure the audience would love to know a little bit more about you. Obviously, as someone with a technical background and someone who's been in the utility industry for a while, I'd love your insight on what brought you to where you are and what brought you to this project.
Yeah, of course. So it started about 8 to 10 years ago now. Very much just having a passion to create things from the ground up, maybe from a design and development perspective. And then I came into energy about 6 years ago now. And that whole idea of breaking that stigma of what an energy provider is, especially in England, in the UK, where the coal demand times is very, very slow. And then there's renewable sources as well. So bringing all that into a central piece for us was key. And then from my side, building out all the technology so it could be as efficient as possible and make it as simple as possible for all our customers.
Absolutely. I love that. That's taking essentially what the world climate's telling us to do and expanding on it and really building something off of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So we have to address the term green because I think it's thrown around more than a softball on a playground. But yeah, what does it really mean? Like what compared to what you're doing, I guess we see large industries all across different industries, large companies using the term green for various initiatives, whether it's just putting a recycling bin in a corner. There's our green initiative. Yeah. But what is different between what you guys are doing? What does green really mean?
Yeah, of course. So we set out to be 100% renewable. So all of our electricity is from wind, hydro, or solar. And in the past, in the past compliance year, we were 100% wind for our electricity. And then with regards to our gas, we were carbon neutral. So all of our gas, we make sure if they're on that tariff that it's all offset. So I suppose what makes us different is that we're completely transparent about where we get our energy from, and when we do carbon offsetting, and with every other energy supplier, you know, they throw in those terms, green energy or renewable sources, but it's only normally on select tariffs. Well, what we're doing is on every single tariff, we do offer 100% renewable energy.
So really from the ground up, there was never anything else.
It's in the name, isn't it? You know, green. So if this is one of our, you know, when we started out was to not only make it simple for the customer, but to have that renewable energy there. And like I said before, it's just to break that stigma, break that mold. So we're setting it in the right direction in all core areas. So give the customers the best overall package.
Great. I love to hear that, especially in these days when we're seeing so much more need for such solutions. It's great to see that. Even in the far corners of the world where you guys are, you're really bringing it from the ground up. So I love it.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. So coming off of that a little bit, and we spoke about this a few minutes ago, but driving to create that green solution, is that what drove your entire team to want to get together and do this? Is that what brought you guys together to do it?
Yeah, so it was a mix of things. So from the green energy side of things to bring renewables to the masses, and then from seeing how every other energy supplier works, and seeing energy suppliers go bust with numerous different things, and really analyzing the market to see what we need to do different to get this out, get the word out to the masses to understand that, you know, an energy supplier doesn't need to be a pain. it doesn't need to be complex. You don't need to be overcharged to have renewable energy. So it's making sure that we get that word out, that people can join us, get all of the renewable energy, the tech, the simplicity of it for all a great price as well. So people don't need to pay a premium for this, which I think most people in the market seem to think that they need to, and they simply don't.
It's almost more accessible than perhaps more traditional methods.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So I guess coming off of that, you spoke about, the fact that this kind of maybe gives you an advantage over other people. But I guess because you've taken such a contrast approach compared to traditional energy company, not going traditional and then bringing in green initiatives, but starting green from the start, do you feel that the advantages it gives you were worth going that direction?
Absolutely. Gave us full control at the early stages, so we don't have any legacy to deal with. So right from the outset, we can have these in place for our foundations as we grow. So in 10 years' time, we don't have any burden of, we're not supplying renewable energy, or we don't have an engaged customer base, because we want to have our customers really engaged and understanding of what we're doing. So, they can feel as passionate as we do. And we build up customers that actually, fall in love with our brand as much as we are as we grow, especially. So it's making sure that all our customers are happy, and we scale and we keep to what we've got currently. So making sure that as we scale, our customer service teams are still fantastic. Everyone's still, on top of it, and everyone realizes that what we are doing, it's for the good, not only for the simplicity for the customer, but for the environment, for our future,
So it sounds like simplicity is sort of an underlying message on most of what you're saying. Is for the customer's sake, for your sake, for all the stakeholders involved, that advantage of simplicity.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be complex in the slightest. I think this is where people seem to go down a hole. They seem to think that everything needs to be complex, like the bills, and even getting through to someone. But most energy suppliers, you're on the phone for half an hour to even answer a question, and it's utilizing that tech from live chat, from submitting the meter reading through you guys, where it's just so much more efficient. And it takes a matter of seconds, and even talking to one of our team, it takes seconds, while everywhere else, they don't have the automations, they don't have the efficiencies or even the processes in place to be able to cope with the demand like we do.
So press 1 for this, then press 2 for that isn't an option with you guys. Direct to a person.
Yeah, it's just making sure that we get to it, because people just, people have things to do.
Yeah, we have lives.
Yeah, and the last thing they want to do is call up and ask questions about their bills, or, we want it to be in their hand where they can just click through, find out what they want. If they have any further questions, we're literally 30 seconds away. And we are open 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week with 24/7 live chat as well. So
yeah, can't beat it. Perfect. So I guess jumping on one of the things you mentioned there, and moving on that simplicity factor, making everything as simple as possible. Obviously, the recent integration of our SDK into your process has really, I guess, made it simple. And I was speaking with our team, and I guess the integration only took an hour, which is quite amazing to hear. So that's great.
Yeah. Honestly, it was soon as we got license keys across, installing the SDK on our mobile apps, and pretty much we got the whole thing into where we could actually have it in our hands on our phone, where we can test it in real time within the hour. And then we got it through testing and then published to the App Store. And I think it was live within 72 hours.
Wow.
And our customers could see that. And then we sent out emails so people were aware. And already we're seeing, like after a short while already, it's about 60% of all our users are utilizing that feature within the app, and it's receiving some great feedback.
That's great. So I guess working off of that, they're going the direction of keeping everything simple. Was that what made you want to look for a solution that helped capture data like mobile like that without having to have people manually enter information?
Absolutely, yeah. It's that simplicity and the automation, and just how quick you can do it. because a lot of times the meters are in the dark in a cupboard. They have to go in, and the flash feature on there as well, where you can just go in and scan it. They don't have to try and hold the door open and try and type it at the same time. It just saves a lot of time and effort where, people, you do it. And if you didn't have that, people just wouldn't be bothered even submitting the meter readings. And then you've got that issue where if they don't, then the bills might be higher. And that just causes a lot more issues than needed. So utilizing this, it does really make everything just a lot more efficient.
And enabling your customers to do it themselves obviously makes things much simpler for you guys as well, not having to have thousands of workers running around the place trying to find addresses or where meters are.
Yeah, and it lessens demand across the whole board. So even people going out to read meters through to customer service on the phones, it just lessens that whole demand across the board.
And you're finding customers, I think what you said, 60 or 70% of people are using this almost immediately. So you're finding the reception's been positive.
Yeah, very, very positive. Yeah. I'd honestly go as far as say we haven't had any issues or any like questions about it. It's just as simple as it gets, going through it and just clicking the button. There you go. So yeah, honestly, it's received some great feedback.
It's not like you said, that this isn't something that's meant to be complex. We have lives to do. We have other things to do. This should simply be a small detour, not a task in itself.
Absolutely. This is it. And I wouldn't even say it's a detour. It's just straight through. You click it and off you go. It turns a 5-minute task into like less than 30 seconds, which is great. This is what I wish you could do with a lot more things,
Yeah, honestly, right?
Yeah.
Why do things have to be so complex by nature? They don't, I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah, they don't. And I suppose this is one of the rules we live by when we launch the company, is to make everything simple, understand what our customers want, how they interact with our platform and throughout the whole company, and just make sure that we optimize it as best as possible and listen to people. Because at the end of the day, we've got all of these customers. They use the apps day to day. They understand more than anyone what we need to change and adapt. So,
yeah, absolutely. I guess, well, moving to something a little bit less simple, the past 8 months and all the challenges we've had to face with COVID around the world. I know even internally here, we've seen a lot of industries struggle to find their footing, and it's nice to now see them starting to get that footing. I know most of Europe is going into some sort of a second lockdown, but companies seem to be less affected because we've broken it, I guess. We figured out processes that work. But with how you've gone with a really simple approach and moving into this quote unquote new normal, do you feel like the processes you put in place with data collection, for example, has really not made for it, but it helps you more than it ever could have?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, the automation and everything throughout the company, that's helped dramatically. So like I said, with scanning the meter, it saves people coming out to the property, which of course in a time like this, we try and stay away from as much as possible. Because we want to contain everything, and we do make sure everyone's fully equipped with PPE and everything like that. But it makes sense if you can just scan your meter and get it there and then. It just makes life so much easier. And I mean, throughout this whole lockdown period as well, it's just making sure that everyone is still safe, and if they do have a power cut or if they smell gas or anything in the property, that we do get out as soon as possible, even still, and just making sure that they're safe in all ways possible, and just getting the matter resolved as soon as possible.
But from a daily, I guess, from people using it on a daily basis, really essentially uninterrupted. Nothing should have changed because they don't have to have anyone come over. There's no extra precautions. That way it's their own device and they can handle it on their own. Yeah.
So it's just automating pretty much from that side, where we don't have people when it just goes straight through into our systems, and that's it. So yeah, it just makes it a lot easier.
That's love. I love the simplicity of it. Like I said earlier, there's no reason for things to be complicated, and this is a perfect example of not even making it complicated from step one. So it's great. I love to hear it. Perfect. So I guess the interview wouldn't be complete. Obviously, having you here is a great pleasure for us and something I'd love to take advantage of with your industry knowledge. Obviously, you've been in the industry for a long time. Moving forward, I guess from this point forward, do you see larger companies moving in this direction where slowly, percentage by percentage, they become sustainable and renewable with all of their energy? Or do you think it will always be a segment?
I suppose I think there will always be a segment, especially with the larger suppliers out there. Just from a cost point for them guys, it's a lot more accessible for them. But I definitely think, especially for us at this stage, we can be a lot more reactive and adaptive as we scale. Whilst bigger companies, they can take a long old while to actually make changes. So I think, where we're coming in, we can actually disrupt the market. And as we scale, especially, we can basically make change throughout the whole industry. So it's not just about for us to scale, it's about the whole industry understanding that we need to start pushing more renewable energy into the grid to help the environment and just make the whole world better, I guess,
Sure. Do you see companies like you? Do you see maybe more of these companies starting maybe from the ground up or divisions of larger companies? Do you see that as a potential way of the industry?
Yeah, I definitely do see it on horizon, and with some suppliers out there already that are quite new and focusing on renewables and technology. I definitely think these two things, renewables and technology, are the two big players, like how it happened with in the finance industry with fintech companies. I definitely think we are basically pioneering on that path where we are introducing technology into the energy market and pushing renewable energy with it as well.
Awesome. So it's good to hear. I think at least, if everyone even moves a little bit, I think it moves the needle on a global scale that much more. So companies like you, perhaps inspiring larger companies to make more initiatives, or other small startups to move in this direction rather than go traditional and then move over. So I think, you guys are inspiring that, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Perfect. That pretty much wraps up what I had planned to discuss. I appreciate you being here. Hopefully the listeners got a lot of good insight. I know I certainly did. I didn't realize how simple the approach was from day one, and that shows how not complex it can be. So again, a big thank you, Aidon. Thank you for being with us today. I really, really appreciate the time. Before we sign off, anything else you'd like to add for listeners?
No, I suppose just go green as soon as possible, and just make sure that we're all on renewable energy. But no, thank you very much for your time as well.
Perfect. Thank you. And everyone, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you joining us today for this great Anyline interview with Aidon Hudson, the Chief Technical Officer at Green. Look forward for more interviews coming soon. And again, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Wishing you a great day. Stay happy, stay healthy.